I am so excited for you to learn from my guests today, Erika and Tanner Mitchell, the owners of Famous in Oregon. They have built $1 million brand leveraging social media. They have built a large online following of 3 million over combined platforms like TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. Their business and their story of how they got started is really an incredible story and very inspiring, and one of solving a problem that Tanner had and putting yourself out there and being consistent and listening to your audience and building their store that they have today. In this episode, we of course are talking about social media. Tanner's got some really great foundational best practices for you. I say this a lot. Social can be simple. Let it be simple. And I feel like Tanner definitely has that same feeling with, his advice as well. Some great foundational tips for you. And we also were talking about the fact that they do run the store together. They're husband and wife and have a family, and they're running the store together. And they have some really great feedback on what makes it work. So if you do run your business with a spouse, work with a spouse, I love how they do it for them, what works for them. And I just loved having that conversation of talking a little bit more of kind of that personal side mixed with the business. Really great insights there. We also touch on customer service and kind of having that level, that standard of excellence. And they're doing something with their community that is so smart, in my opinion. You'll hear it in this episode. And just, I love their vision for their business and what they're trying to achieve and their level of commitment to their customers. This is where I love doing this show because I get to talk to the retail pros as well as the successful retailers. And I know that you're going to be inspired by Erika and Tanner today. Before we dive in, here's a little bit more about my guests. Tanner and Erika Mitchell are the proud owners of Famous in Oregon, a thriving houseplant shop located in Prosper, Texas. With a passion for plants, they are dedicated to sharing their love of greenery with their community and beyond. Combining expertise in plant care with a commitment to exceptional customer service, Tanner and Erika have built a business that not only offers a wide variety of houseplants, but also provides education and support to plant enthusiasts across the country. Their mission is to create an inviting space where everyone can discover the joy of plants. You can learn more and connect with them at famousinoregon.com. Also, Tanner the Planter on the socials. We're linking to all their socials and sites in the show notes. So be sure to connect. See what Tanner's doing, learn from him. You're going to be inspired by this episode. And by the way, Tanner is one of our keynote speakers at Evolve. So head on over to crystalmediaco.com/evolve to check out the agenda, to learn about Tanner's topic and get your ticket if you haven't gotten it yet. We are selling tickets fast, so we would love to see you in the room. All right, let's dive into today's episode. Welcome to the show. I'm your host, Crystal Vilkaitis, the Wolf of Main Street, and this is Rooted in Retail. Erika, Tanner, welcome to Rooted in Retail. I am thrilled you're here.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for having us. This is wonderful.
Yeah, this is going to be a really good conversation. And I just love seeing what you guys have built. So I'm really grateful that you're here to kind of peek behind the curtain of what you're doing and how you've done it to really inspire our listeners. Before we dive in, will you take a couple minutes and share more about your retail journey?
Yeah. So this is Tanner the Planter. He's a very well-known name in the plant world. We started, like many small businesses, just kind of by accident, like the people wanted it, so we decided to bring it kind of thing. We built our social media following kind of like it wasn't a big social media following. It all started with Tanner just sharing things that he learned about plants and bringing them into our homes.
I was so frustrated with the lack of really clear and concise information online about houseplants. So it all started like I killed our very first plant that I tried to bring into the home.
And that started it all.
And then I was like, surely we can figure this out. Well, I'm a millennial. I have the internet. Like we can figure this out. But then when I got online, there wasn't much going on, or there was a lot of conflicting information, even worse.
So he started posting.
Yeah, I started posting all the things that I was learning from like scientific articles and my own experience. I was posting that on Instagram mostly.
to
And
a
that's where
very
things started to
it
percolate.
was a small audience at first. I mean, it was really just like your real friends and family,
Mostly, yeah.
And now we have so many followers on Instagram that like when a video goes viral, our phones die because of all the notifications. That is definitely a good thing. But things changed pretty quickly. People started asking him if he could send them cuttings or do you sell plants? You should sell plants. And so we both had our own businesses at that point. I was a leader in a big network marketing company, and Tanner had a bounce house business like party rentals. And so it was just kind of, by chance, it was a hobby turned business in every sense of the word.
So many people
Yeah.
just kept reaching out and asking, like, thanking me for the information that I had provided, like trying to figure out how they could support. And I think one day I just came up to you because the bounce houses, the work that I was doing was largely weekend based.
Right.
So I had some time to dedicate to like in the weekdays as like a sort of a side hustle type deal. There was so much demand. I was like, hey, I think we should try selling plants.
And
And you thought that was crazy.
yes, I thought he had lost his mind because we had worked ourselves into a place where we could be home together all week. And then just he worked on the weekends and I'd go with him. And, we were fine. We weren't out there looking, actively for a new business. And so I was like, are you crazy? I don't want to have to be somewhere from like 9 to 6 every day. Like we finally have arrived where we don't have to do that.
Right.
And I would just imagine being like, having to be at the store all the time. Well, part of this we learned was, you can hire help.
Yes, you can.
So we started out by doing farmers markets first. I think a lot of people start out with farmers markets. It's a really good way to dip your toe in at a fairly low cost. We had like $400. We got some used shelves, spent, another $100 or $200 on some inventory. And we're like, we got to flip this.
We have to make next month's rent. Yeah.
We have to do it. And we signed up for a couple of things. I think one of the biggest changes in our business in hindsight really was when we started doing live sales. Live sales on Facebook. We started doing these like 5 or 6 years ago, pretty early on for the live sale game.
Before it was really a thing. Now you're seeing it much more often. And a lot of like clothing boutiques do live sales regularly. But we did it from our living room.
Yep. And that got so out of control that like so many people were coming up to our door to pick up their plants, and we were shipping so many plants out that our kids were starting to get pretty annoyed. We had, 3 kids at the house at that point. My daughter would come on the weekends and every Thursday and everything. So there was a lot going on, and that forced us into the brick and mortar that we are in today. But we still do our online sales just as we have been doing for the past 5 years.
We felt like it wasn't right to leave our online audience hanging just because we had gotten a storefront.
Like
because
they had catapulted us to there.
Yes,
Right.
because of them, we had the storefront. So we continued that, and it's a huge part of our business.
Okay, I love your story so much because it really often like the best businesses are started from that. You're solving your own need, your own pain point. So you start creating this content. And then I'm so curious for your businesses before, were you leveraging social media at all for those businesses?
Yes, for me. And I do accredit that experience as being a huge part of our success with what we do now. I don't know if we're smart for this or dumb for this, but we have a customer group on Facebook that is for people that have purchased plants from us so that we can assist them, throughout the whole life of the plant. And as far as I know, nobody else does that.
And that was a trick that you learned in your previous business.
Yeah, that was from my previous business. I had a group for all the people that would buy from me so I could, show up and be there. And we do the same thing now in our customer group. And it's such an awesome little community. It has like 4,000 people in it at this point, and
Nice.
they help each other, and we just kind of oversee, and we have admins that do a lot of the work for us that we're really grateful for.
Mm-hmm. But when we talk about that with our customers, that's a big selling point. Like, oh, I can take this home after I get it to your store, ask you questions, post pictures, troubleshoot a year down the road, hey, what happens when it gets too big, repotting, et cetera. So it's a really big selling point. And that's something that you had learned in that previous business.
And Tanner had helped me with like learning how to use technology to make videos, but we never had like a real camera. We just used
or even a real following. It was very small.
It was very small. We just used our phones, and until probably 2 years ago.
About 2 years ago, yeah.
Okay. Well, and that gives a lot of reassurance, I think, for somebody that might be listening. They saw your content today. Like it didn't start that way. You just got started by giving some advice. And what's really cool about this business is that, a lot of stores, they want a store. So they start the store, they get the lease, the inventory. It's like high risk, it's high cost, and they don't have that audience built in yet. You did it reverse. You built the audience and then you just started listening to them and listening to them and building upon that. I do want to say that whole customer group I think is brilliant because it offers a level of support. It's next level customer service. And in a world where competition is really high, doing something like that makes the competition irrelevant. Like they're not doing that. You have that connection, you create loyalty. They'll buy from you time and time again. Like I think I think it's a smart decision that you did it. I bet it is a lot of work to maintain, but here you are today. You have this great following. You've listened to your audience. Out of just my pure curiosity, your store name is Famous in Oregon and you're in Texas. And I would love to know just the background of the name.
We get that question literally every day of the week. No joke. Yeah, it is very
Confusing people since 2020.
That's our little tagline. That's when we opened the brick and mortar store. And yeah, it has never really made sense I've always loved like little clever things like if you know, you know, like you get to appreciate the full thing once you dig in just a little bit deeper. So I was born and raised in Oregon. I moved to Texas about 14 years ago. So far beyond when we had the store. When it was time to get the brick and mortar, we were actually in partnership with a friend of ours as well, who also was growing an online business. And we both needed kind of a place to work out of. And so we were trying to figure out a name that would suit both of us. Although she was just using it as sort of a shipping facility, she wasn't really front facing so much. It was really a plant a plant store, but we had some shipping in the one of the back rooms is kind of what it was. We didn't want, or maybe I didn't want my name on the building. I didn't want it to be like my social media handle. I didn't want to be Tanner the Planter's Plant Shop. I thought
I
that
did.
was
I wanted that.
it felt weird to me, But something that was both of us connected on, our business partner and us, that we were sharing the building with, our familiarity with Oregon. Her largest demographic was in Oregon. So she had already had this, she sells hats is what it is.
She had toured Oregon.
Yes.
She had gone to musical festivals there.
And she was so popular there that someone told her that she was famous in Oregon. And she actually had a hat that said famous in Oregon.
Oh.
Something that I didn't realize when I moved from Oregon to Texas was what Oregon was famous for. I moved down here and, you get to chatting with people and they're like, hey, where are you from? Oregon. It was like 9 times out of 10, they would all mention, oh, I love it there. It's so green. It's so beautiful. The trees, the ferns, the greenery, everything grows in Oregon. And I'm like, yeah, I guess you're kind of right. But that wasn't my perspective of Oregon. You wherever you live,
yeah.
you used to it. You live in your own little bubble. I had no idea that plants were famous in Oregon. That's what Oregon is known for, at least according to Texans.
Right.
But maybe it gets people excited enough and curious enough to go to our website and look.
It has actually helped us a little bit because there's so much. I mean, I can't tell you how many people have popped into the store, especially that first year. They would open up the door, these good old Texan boys, and they were like, so what's so great about Oregon? And then we tell them it's the plants. And they're like, and they leave. But it has actually helped us a lot.
Yeah. Like I could see that. That's where I was like, I love the creativity of this. I didn't even know the backstory. And so it obviously makes sense. But just preparing for this and learning about your business, I'm like, this is a lean in name. We talk about like stories when you meet people, and in branding, you're having stories and you have a one-liner and you have your headlines, and those need to make customers lean in and ask a question and create that mystery, and they want more. The store name totally does that. It gets that connection so you can say the name. It gets the Texan men just stopping in, wondering what you're doing. Like, it's just so fun. I love it. Plus, listeners of this show know, and I mentioned this to you guys on our pre-call about my 15-mile famous theory. If everybody in a 15-mile radius knew your store, like you were famous, you were a local legend, how that would change a lot of businesses. I mean, it would really catapult their success. And so the fact that you had famous in Oregon, I just really love that. But you're in Texas. So good. Okay, so let's go back to social media. You've built this business on really listening to your customers, following that demand. You had a need, you did research, you start creating this content, Tanner, and people are just really loving it and it's taking off and you're listening to your customers. But a lot of our listeners to this show and the retailers that we've worked with, they don't have that big following yet. They definitely have maybe a smaller audience. And so, what would you say to them who they do want to listen to their audience? They want to adapt, they want to be there, but they're just kind of starting out with their smaller following. What advice would you have for them?
My advice is always basically the same for everybody. Social media is kind of like a lottery ticket. We see different, at least for your business, we see businesses explode all the time on social media. It just comes from one area, and you don't need a big following to achieve that. A small following. I mean, when we got to the ability to open up our store, so we had enough sales to open up our store, we're operating at maybe 2,000 followers. I mean, that's the kind of
Okay.
support you're talking about. We're not talking about tens of thousands at all. We hadn't hit 10,000 until probably year 2 or 3 in our business,
Yeah,
Okay.
but they were
at least on
loyal.
Instagram.
They
Yeah.
were loyal and they were engaging.
That's the really big one. So you
Yeah.
have to be consistent. You really have to get out of your own way. It's the authenticity. It's all the things that you've probably heard a whole bunch before and you thought, they're kind of cheesy and whatever. It's literally just buying into all of the things you've probably already heard and really leaning into it. But consistency is the biggest one that people give up on way too early.
Oh, yeah. And just the need to make everything so curated and
Mm,
so perfect. It
yeah.
really, people get in their own way. And by the time they've spent all day worried about this one post, they could have posted, gotten results, and been on to the next thing, you
Hmm.
know?
So true. I'm actually really glad that you say that because that desire or need for perfectionism does hold a lot of retailers back that I've talked to. They have so much fear around messing up or having it look bad or not being the right kind of look. And they will spend hours. And it's like, that is not what the customer wants. They want
No,
the
they want
realness.
you. Yeah.
Yes. Yes, they
Yeah.
do. They want you. They want that value when you're teaching. They need that.
We've messed up so many times. How many times have we messed up? How many times have we gone back and looked at an old video and been like, whoa, that was bad? You
Oh,
know?
all the time. Or I'll misspeak. One of my most viral videos ever, this is sort of on a tangent. One of my most viral videos ever, I was explaining a technique, and you might have, I'm sure a lot of people can resonate with this. When you explain something so repetitively over and over, maybe day in and day out, your brain almost turns off when you're talking about it, because you can just recite the same sort of thing over and over again. Well, I was making this video about a technique for a fiddly fig, a really popular tree. And I misspoke and said, if you get any of the liquid on you, just cut your finger off. What I meant was wipe your finger, just wipe it off. But I said, just cut it off. And there were thousands of comments that were like, just cut my finger off. Thanks for the tip.
Yeah. What do I do now? I don't have my finger to be able to use my knife properly, you know?
But if I was worried, and actually, literally to this day, I made that video probably 3 or 4 years ago. To this day, that video is surging again, getting us more traction 3 or 4 years later because it has. But if I would have been obsessed with the perfection, I would have been, scrap that. We got
And
to
it
do it
wouldn't have
again.
gone
Yeah,
viral, probably, you
I
know?
just put it in the
so true.
first comment. Hey, obviously, don't cut your finger off. I meant wipe it off. I just made a little
Yeah,
caveat, and that was it.
Yeah.
exactly. This is the thing. I say this a lot. We don't want the perfectionism. It's not relatable. A Broadway playwright once said, how you write a character to be somebody that people hate is you make them perfect because it's not relatable. When we mess up, like you see bloopers that go viral, it's what connects. And I just hope that listeners can just like release that, like let down that wall and that like fear that they have that's really holding them back. I also just want to call out that you said you had 2,000 followers when you started the store. It's not like you had tens of thousands. You had a strong, engaged community. You were consistent yourself and you just kept showing up for them. And that really is the recipe for success on social. And it's so doable for a lot of our retailers, but there's just a lot of fear that holds them back. So really good advice and thanks for sharing some of that. I want to go find that video because the comments. People are so funny. Like, I would love to read those comments. It's so good. It is time to think differently about retail and about your store. And it's really important that we're thinking differently about customers and what's going on in the world, because let's face it, things are changing quickly. And if we're not evolving, we are being left behind. That is exactly why I created the conference Evolve. And I would love to see you in the room April 4th and 5th in Denver, Colorado. And just by being a listener of the show, you can save $200 on tickets. You can go to crystalmediaco.com/evolve and use the code ROOTED to save 200. That's ROOTED to save 200. Now, here's the deal. This agenda is fire. You can see the speakers on that page, but we're talking about all aspects of retail, new ideas for your store, things that you can add in to create revenue streams where you're making money in your sleep. Would you like that? I bet you would. I'm so excited for that topic. We're talking about marketing, social media, how to build a strong foundation. We're talking about money and profits. We're talking about exit strategies in case you are planning an exit. We are covering so many aspects of retail at Evolve that you're not going to want to miss this content. It's going to help you be a better business owner. Plus, you get to connect with all the other retailers that are going to be in the room and the retail pros that we're bringing in. So get your tickets. There's a solid chance we're going to sell out. And the longer you wait, the prices will be going up. So get your tickets today. And I can't wait to see you there. Now, we'll come back to some social media stuff here, but I want to switch gears a little bit because you guys are husband and wife. You have a family together. You're running this business together. You're really like in it, doing all aspects of life together. And that can work really well for people and it cannot work well. Like there's all sorts of things when it comes to working with your spouse. And I want to know, like, how's it really going? And can you pull back the curtain a little bit? Like, what makes it work? And just some of that, like, honesty on working with your spouse and what that's like for you guys.
What's that number one thing we hear all the time when people realize that we work together?
I could never work with my husband.
I could never do
Yeah.
that. Where we were just talking about this recently. We actually talk
Yeah.
about this often. We could never do it without each other.
I wouldn't change a thing about it. We are both in our second marriages. I think that gives us a little bit more appreciation and we just honor
Perspective. I think it's a
we
perspective.
honor our marriage before anything.
Mhm.
And so anything that we do, we're going to do together. That's why Tanner goes to Pilates.
Love
Hey,
it.
it's a good workout. Don't knock it. All the men listening, Pilates is a fantastic workout. You should do it.
Yes. But I mean, it's just one more opportunity to be together. But we do have days where we have to divide and conquer, of course, in order to make all the wheels turn for the business. And we actually don't have kids at home anymore, except for my stepdaughter that comes part time. They've all grown at this point. One is in Syracuse, New York. One is in South Texas. And the other one works for us. So we see her all the time. But it really is the foundation. Our relationship, our marriage is the foundation of everything we do for the business. It's not two separate things. And our staff knows that. We're very clear about how we feel about each other, and how we do everything together. Everything is a effort that we do together.
If any time there's not something that's, if we're kind of struggling in the business, maybe not finding your groove, so to speak, when, problems come up and, there are challenges. Everyone's going to have challenges with whatever business you're in. We always go back to the foundation of our relationship. When we know that we are super, super strong, that permeates into all the other aspects of our life and especially our business. So that's why our kids know that we come first. That's why our staff knows that we come first. And we've seen that pay off in dividends. I mean, there are even times, about 80% of our business is online. It's our sales. And the vast majority of that is from our live sales. And doing those live sales that we do twice a week, we go on camera for about an hour and a half together and we talk about different plants and you have the opportunity to buy and ship and whatever. If we're having sort of a hectic day or maybe on one of those live sale days, we haven't been together the entire day or we haven't had time to connect before the live sale, we'll start it late. We take that time to start it, to connect first. And that's super important.
It's just going across the street to the coffee shop and sitting down together, for 20 minutes before it starts, because we're very genuine people and we want that to come across. And so if we're just rushing through everything, and it's not going to be our best night,
we wouldn't be showing up for our
No.
people. We wouldn't be doing anybody any justice or any favors.
Yeah.
So we make sure we're right first, and then we show up.
But there are difficulties.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely. Just this morning, I was complaining to Tanner about something, and he's like, well, have you explained that this is what you need? And I'm like, no, but they should know, and, so he kind of gets me back into lane every once in a while. And I do the same for you.
That's one of the things that's super strong about us that actually just came naturally. I think we're really fortunate about. It's not only that our relationship is the foundation of everything we do, but we are like opposites. So the things that she's really weak in, I'm really strong in. And what I'm really strong in, or really weak in, she's really strong in. So we've always complemented each other, even in your previous, in all the businesses that we've had, but especially in this one.
Yeah. And introvert, extrovert, like
could not be more opposite.
In every way. Yeah. And so I really love like how creative Tanner is and how he has the ability to see beyond. He's always looking 5 years out, and I'm looking at, tomorrow.
Yeah.
Or maybe this afternoon.
I was going to say, that's a stretch. You're talking about in about 5 minutes from now.
It's like, no, that's too far.
You do. You need both. You definitely need both.
You do. Well, so I'm hearing a couple of things here. I mean, I'm hearing balance. You guys so balance each other out. And I think that that's really critical in relationships. Like if you've got the same, and I am by no means a relationship expert here, but I definitely think it's important that we discuss these things and learn from what works and what doesn't and have those conversations. And so, if you have a couple that's very similar, that can cause a lot of headbutts. And so having that balance is amazing. And then also the fact that you guys are putting each other first, because I do think it's hard sometimes for entrepreneurs to not put the business first, because you feel like I got bills to pay. I have people I got to take care of. Like I've got to keep the lights on. I've got to go. This is my livelihood. But you have to step back, and you guys mentioned the word perspective, like have that perspective on what is most important and how can we show up to be the best version of ourselves for the store, our team, our customers. And it's connecting and it's taking that time with each other. And that is so critical of really putting each other first, which ultimately is putting yourself first. And I hope that anyone listening to this, if you're feeling like you're not putting yourself first, or if you do work with your significant other and you guys are putting the business first, that you can find some ways to really connect back and shift that priority, because it would probably just make for a stronger relationship and also a stronger foundation for the business to then grow from. You guys have really modeled that well. Yeah. I want you guys to have a show. Have you guys been approached to have a show? I just feel like you could totally have like on GHT, which is an industry association, on HGTV. Like I could see you guys having a show.
No, we've not been approached, but hey, we're definitely open to it. It's funny. A lot of our live sale people, so we only ship in the United States, and we don't ship to California. It's a limitation with plants. It's not by choice. There's just a limitation with like the ag department and all that. We still have a large audience coming from California every week. We have a large audience come from Australia and
everywhere.
Denmark. And there are people that wake up at 3 or 4 in the morning
to
watch our live sales, even though they can't participate, even though they can't get plants, they can participate, comments and stuff. Yeah. And that's what they're all reeling for as well. They're I think somebody even pitched us to someone in HGTV.
We've I've seen a couple of screenshots of emails being sent by followers that are like, why are y'all not doing this?
We might just have to do it our own and make it a YouTube video. We started doing daily vlogs on there, just doing our plant care and everything. And that's been a lot of fun. So who knows, maybe one day.
Well, you totally could. I mean, and that's the thing that's now this is a little tangent, but what we're seeing in the internet marketing world and social media world is that people are creating their own shows through Instagram and TikTok. And then obviously YouTube, you've got more of the longer form for more of the storytelling. And that might be enough, like because you do have more flexibility and power in what you're creating. But I've watched you guys online. I see what you're doing, and I just feel like people would love following along. So thanks for being such an inspiration as, husband and wife doing business together and life together and really taking care of your customers. It's just a really amazing story. So I love watching. Okay, so you guys have had a lot of success. I mean, the farmers market to the thriving store to social media famous. What's next for famous in Oregon? Erika, you said Tanner is like thinking 5 years ahead. Like what's the future look like? What are you excited about?
It's an interesting kind of question for us, at least. We have a lot of irons in the fire. We have
a really big one that we can't talk about just
projects
yet.
that are secret
Okay.
that we can't talk about just yet.
But when we can, we
Fun.
will.
In the
Okay.
grand
Yeah,
scheme
I
of
can't wait.
things, our big thing is just to keep showing up, educating, trying to help people find joy in the hobby of houseplants that we really love, and seeing what comes from that. I think all of this has really come from just following our natural instincts and knowing that as long as we take care of each other first, then whatever we do is going to be fine. We're going to figure it out.
We've had that conversation too. Like, say all this goes away tomorrow, like we would rebuild something, maybe something completely else. But I mean, it's fun for us too. It's not just a job. It's not a drag that we have to run our business together. So like, sometimes I think it'd be kind of fun to do it all over again.
Sometimes you do. I don't know. I bet a lot of your listeners actually might be able to understand this as well. But like that first little bit when you're like really hustling and grinding, and like you forgot if you ate for 2 days or something like that.
Can't sleep.
Oh
Can't
yeah,
eat.
I love that stuff. I'm thinking about trying it again. Maybe I'll say something on social media to get me canceled. I'll just restart it.
Well, one of our daughters is getting ready to go to cosmetology school, and we're like, "Ooh, we'll help you build a following.
We can help. You want to have your own business?
What do
Let's
you
try it out.
Fun. Oh,
So we're not
you're
sure
so right,
exactly
though.
what we're open to all the possibilities, but as long as we're whatever avenues that open up for us, that we can continue the work of educating people and helping them find joy with the hobby of houseplants, I think we're open to that, and that's what we're going to keep pursuing.
Right now, it's really too about maintaining and keeping up that standard that we've set. People expect excellence from us. I mean, that is what when we ship plants, we have such a high standard. And so, and in store also, we walk in there and we're like, if there's anything embarrassing in here, it's leaving right now, because plants will droop if they need watered, or,
Right.
you spot it right off the bat, when you walk in, especially with our eyes.
And social media forces you to sort of have a really high expectation when it comes to a quality product, because there are some days, like especially on the weekends, Saturday and Sunday, there are times where we have very few or sometimes even no locals come. It's only people that are traveling from out of state or from, Texas is huge. So, you could travel 8 hours, even though you're in Texas the whole time, you can still be in Texas. So every weekend we have people traveling from all over, and we want to make sure that they have a really good experience. So that's just a large part of our model right now, where our business is really maintaining and making sure that we are showing up for the people that are showing up for us, and maintaining a high standard in that department is definitely forefront.
And I mean, even though your name is not on the building, everybody knows these are Tanner the Planter's plants.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
You're a plant expert.
If I'm telling you how to take care of them, we better know how to take care
They better
of
be
them.
looking good.
Yep.
Yeah.
Very true. Well, I like this though, that it's really about like the high standard. You can have a high standard for excellence within the product and the business, and not holding that standard to the content you're posting, right? Going back to just posting on social and putting ourselves out there. There's a time and a place where we have that standard that we need to abide by. So we are really serving our customers, but we don't need to put it on ourselves of that kind of pressure. So it's great. I'm just very excited to see what you guys are going to continue to build in the future. And I just feel like there's a show in your future. And so if anybody is listening to this, I mean, I just feel like it's going to happen. And I can't wait to hear what's coming for you guys as well. I know one thing I'm super excited about is that Tanner, you are keynoting at Evolve in April in Denver, which we are so excited to have you kind of pull back the curtain on what you've done and how you've built this. We talked a little bit about it, but obviously there's a lot of details and there's a lot of things you've learned along the way and some of those tools you use too. So I would love to know, Can you just give us a little sneak peek of something that you're really excited to share at Evolve?
Yeah, well, I can't give away all my secrets, but I can tell you one. And this is sort of a sidebar of the regular content that we're going to be talking about at the conference. And that is about objections when you are an introvert. Erica already mentioned a little bit
Mm.
earlier that I'm introverted, and a lot of objections that I hear when people come to me and they want social media advice or help, and I'll tell them about consistency or whatever the tips that I have. And one of their biggest objections is always, I'm an introvert. I can't do X, Y, and Z. Most people think that I'm very extroverted with how I come across on camera and on, our live sales and everything.
He's actually been told, like, you're way cooler on the internet, you know?
Yeah, for some people that have come to the store, and they meet me in person. I'm in person. I'm very low key, and
Chill.
whatever.
So
Yeah.
chill.
And they several people have said, you're a lot cooler on the internet.
Thank you.
That's fine.
I
Yeah,
tell you what,
yeah.
there was a point in my life. I think this really highlights the leap that has come. There was a point in my life where I was so introverted I couldn't order my own food at a restaurant. I would always ask my friends to do it for me or something like that. And now I'm on social media every day, right in front of the camera. Social media was made for introverts. I
Mm,
guarantee you there's tons of the people that you follow and admire and look up to and want to be like in terms of a social media following or presence. They're probably an introvert. They're very creative. Introverts are known to be very creative. That's social media is creativity
Right.
and authenticity. We have a very comfortable time being our authentic selves because we're not really interested in we've learned to not gain attention or make a whole lot of noise by being extroverted in our daily lives. So we're used to that anyway. We think about a lot
Right.
of things. We're comfortable talking about the subjects that we know about because we think about them a lot.
yeah.
Social media was made for introverts. And I think that if that's your main objection, you're missing out on a really big opportunity.
Oh, preach. I'm so glad you said that. We haven't really talked about that in my world, even over all these years of teaching social, talking to retailers. I haven't looked at it through that angle, but you are so right. Social media is for the introvert. It is creative, it is connection. Like, such a beautiful way to look at it. Thank you for sharing that. And, and I'm super stoked to hear your secrets and what you have going on at Evolve. It's going to be so good. You guys, are you ready for the resilience round?
Oh, yeah.
Let's do it.
Okay, best business book.
Unreasonable Hospitality has been fantastic. For 2024, that's the best one we've done.
And I'm not much of a reader, but he fills in the blanks for me.
Perfect. See, teamwork is perfect. Best retail technology like an app or software.
We really enjoy. We have 17 staff members. We're never there at the same time because we have a shipping facility and we have our brick and mortar store. And we use Trello for communication. It's really nice to work on big projects together, but not in the same building at the same time. So that's been really key for this last year. We've really organized our projects and been able to kind of streamline things instead of leaving post-its for the next guy, throw it in Trello.
And
Yeah.
the social media guy is just going to say your regular camera phone,
Oh,
as easy as it
perfect.
gets.
Simple. Yep. Love it.
So wait,
How do you keep
why do you have 4 or 5 cameras upstairs?
Okay, that's a different thing. That is
Oh.
a personal interest. Okay, I like it. I enjoy it. But all you need
Mhm.
is your phone.
Yeah, true. Yep. Love it. How do you keep up with the ever-changing retail landscape?
We don't look into anything. We don't. I mean, we listen to your podcast. We listen to several episodes of your podcast. Largely, we stay disconnected because we want to follow our own intuition. It's led us this far, and that's good. So we'll just continue doing that.
Tanner has almost 2 million followers on TikTok and he's not on Plant Talk. He puts
Yeah,
out the content, but he does not want to ever, by accident, even copy somebody else. Like he wants all of his ideas to be genuine. So he's not out there with the rest of the bunch. We get a lot of videos copied, but we're not
I
out there
bet.
copying.
Yeah, you are probably the trendsetter there. I just want to say lately, I have been like, I don't want to listen to anything. There is so much that we have and I want to bring my own voice and my ideas and not be influenced by what other people are doing and create my own magic, I think there's a lot of power into just staying in your lane and creating from within. So very, very
Absolutely.
cool. Yeah. To help retailers be stronger, more rooted in success, what's a social media foundational best practice?
I would say just being consistent about always showing up, no matter what. And don't get on there and complain. Please don't get on there and complain. There's a lady
There's a
that,
limit to authenticity.
be yourself,
Yes.
but don't be a drain, like have fun with it. Have fun with
Yeah.
it. People are stressed out enough. They don't want to hear about all your troubles.
Mine would be
Yeah.
you don't need the whole pie. You just need a very, very small portion of the pie to have a happy and successful, thriving business. So focus
Mm.
on that. And you're going to find those people. The only way you're going to find those people and for the long run is by being genuine. If you have to fake your social media or your presence a year in because you were this fake person and got a following, that's a detriment. Be yourself from the very beginning. The right people are going to find you, and those people are going to be the pillars of your business.
Excellent advice. I couldn't agree more. If you had to do your business all over again, what's one thing you'd do differently?
I would say for a brick and mortar, really getting to know if the town that you're looking to build in is a supportive town for small business, or
Mm,
maybe the town over is, although a little less convenient, might be more supportive for your business. It's kind of strange. Like our town doesn't really take, not the people. I'm talking about like the town, the actual administrators of whatever government. They don't really even know anything about our business or what we do, and it is kind of strange that I could see their building because we're in our historic downtown, and I'll call about something and they'll be like, "What? Where? Famous what?" Like they just,
Oregon, we're in
mm,
Texas.
yeah,
yeah.
it's so bizarre. But like the town over has a fantastic
Mm,
supportive, like, economic division for their small business owners. So like maybe just we should have done a little bit more research.
And I would say we should have hired a little bit earlier. We tried to do
Yes.
everything from the very beginning. And, the results, we got a good result. But hiring people to do those things that are not our magic would have been, I think we would have propelled ourselves much earlier.
Yeah, like I don't know why I thought because I was a small business owner, I was also now an accountant and a tax strategist. Like, no, give that up, give that to the professionals. It's so worth it. If you do that, you can focus on your magic, which in my case is none of that.
yeah. Yeah. Same.
Yeah.
Finally, what do you think the future of independent retail looks like?
We are massively excited for independent retailers. I think consumers are getting more and more savvy to corporate sales tactics
Yes.
and big business, the dark side of big business, the
Right.
consumption, the overconsumption, and they're turning towards smaller business, more genuine things, buying from people that they know, supporting their local communities. I feel like we see a little bit of a shift coming, and it's been coming for the past few years, probably since the pandemic, probably since around 2020.
Yeah. The
Yeah.
key, I think, difference is in how we treat our staff. Like you go into some of those big box stores, nobody wants to be there. The staff doesn't want to be there. The customers don't want to be there. It is just a miserable experience inside and out. And that's how we're different. If you don't want to deal with that, you come to our store.
Yeah. It's so true. You guys, this was so awesome. How can people connect with you and learn more?
Our website is famousinoregon.com. All of our social media is at Tanner the Planter and
We have
Mrs. Tanner the Planter.
we have an app also. If you want to watch and see how we do the live sales, it's called Tanner the Planter with no spaces. And then we also have our store handles, Famous in Oregon, for Instagram and Facebook. And those have been growing too, not like Tanner the Planner, but maybe if he'd make some content for me, maybe I could afford
Yeah.
a couple of collabs here.
I will send you the contract information. I'll have my people
Oh,
contact your people.
Sounds good.
there you go. There you go. Yeah, collab would be good. Get that contract in. I love it, you guys. It really does speak to the personal brand side of how that just really does work well on social. You guys are just doing some really inspiring and incredible things. So thank you for sharing your story and being here. And can't wait to see you at Evolve. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. We're excited to see you soon.
Yeah, me too. All right, everyone, remember that I'm rooting for your success. Have a great week ahead. Bye. Okay, I have exciting news to share. The Rooted in Retail Mastermind is launching this January. It's your chance to connect deeper with me, the retail pros from the show, and an incredible community of resilient retailers, both online and in person, with several meetups throughout the year. Get on the waitlist at rootedinretail.com/waitlist. And don't just listen to the show, be a part of the magic and grow your store with us. I hope to see you there.